Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. In this episode, I want to chat about illness, something we don't often talk about until we actually get ill. And that's something that has happened to me over the last couple of days. So I'll spare you the details, but today is Tuesday the 28th, and on Sunday, which was Boxing Day, I woke up feeling absolutely fine. Then 9 AM, I was sick. And that continued all throughout the day until about 4 PM, where I was sick about 6 times. Now, not only was it coming out this way, it was coming out the other way. It was not a good day. The winter vomiting bug was here. I look so pale in this light. This light is way too harsh. But I do need some winter sun. And then I went to bed at 5 PM, I think, and then slept until 8 AM the next morning. I had no idea that this was coming. It was literally just like a 24-hour thing, because yesterday I kind of felt half decent, 75% back to normal. And I have a rule generally where I'll say, like, if I'm not like at least 90% or 95% back, I won't even get back on the bike. And I know I speak to lots and lots of people I coach, people who like I ride with lots as well. They will ride if they got a cold, if they got, you know, a cough, they'll ride with anything. And I'm completely the opposite. And I'm not saying you should do that, but I'm just saying that like I'm far more laid back than what I used to be. And when something knocks me down as bad as this, then I know, you know, when to say no. So I am not a doctor, I don't play one. This is just my advice. If you want obviously proper advice, go and see your GP or your medical professional. But I will share with you some few little pointers, some tips that I've learned over the years, as well as how I then structure this week and where this kind of leads to things further down the line. So yeah, obviously that day where I was ill, which was Sunday, 2 days ago, I lost everything. So I didn't eat anything that day. I obviously didn't eat anything the night before because I was sleeping, which I slept brilliantly, by the way. I used just a basic, I think this is Garmin 445. I just used a basic watch to track my sleep, my heart rate, resting heart rate, body battery, things like that. It doesn't really like do anything sophisticated. It's there to back up what I'm feeling inside. So if those of you who have like a Whoop or anything like that that measures things a bit more detail, then feel free to leave some information down below that you found while you've been ill. But like certainly, like there was no signs from anywhere, so which kind of leads me to believe that this was like a spontaneous 24-hour, you know, winter vomiting bug. So didn't eat anything, and then yesterday, although I slept obviously for ages, I woke up and I just didn't feel great at all. Didn't feel like eating. I ate like I think some like toast with nothing on it, bananas, some crackers. But to be honest, I didn't really feel like eating, so I didn't really eat that much. I was having some electrolyte tablets, try and keep me hydrated, because of course I hadn't drunk anything either, because what I was drinking and eating was just, you know, not. Eventually, I felt better and better as the day went on yesterday, and probably went from about like 70% to about 80%, and then like I had a great night's sleep last night. I slept all the way through the night from like 10 PM till 7 AM. And, you know, obviously sleep is king during this period, yes. Had my Christmas dinner this morning for breakfast, which was amazing. And here we are. I probably feel more like, you know, 85%. And by the end of today, I probably feel more like 90%. But the thing I've got to realize is that I've not been eating. So although I'm feeling better, I'm in such a calorie deficit from like not eating for like well over 24 hours. So I need to make sure that before I even think about getting back on the bike, at least for any sort of like important training, I need to make sure that I'm getting calories in consistently. And it's really important to not look at this period and go, well, I've lost weight. Like, I haven't lost weight. I have literally like rinsed my body of everything that it has to give. And so I need to build my strength back up. So I actually took some screenshots of what my watch was saying regarding like my body battery and things like that. So your body battery is what you think it is. Like, you would recharge during the night, it would get to like 100 points, And then as the day goes on, if you're training or if you're just laying around and resting, it would deplete. And interestingly, like, it also measures your daily strain. My daily strain usually when I'm just sat around is anywhere between like the 10 and 15 points mark. And that shows on the Saturday, on Christmas Day, where I literally scored like 12 points and there was no stress at all. Now, Sunday, you can see on the graph that throughout the day, or at least throughout the night, it's at 100. And then as the day goes on, even though I'm doing absolutely nothing, the body battery just plummets. And obviously I don't need technology to tell me that, but it's interesting just to see that there was so much stress going on. And I can tell when I was checking my heart rate while I was dozing on and off to sleep, it was in the high 80s. Now my heart rate is back into the 50s. So that's definitely something to note. You know, my stress on that Sunday then was up whopping 35 as opposed to like 12 the day before. And then yesterday was down to 21. And today, well, obviously I'm filming this video, so I don't know, but hopefully that'll fall about another 10 points or so. If it does, at least I know what's happening. Now, in terms of training, I guess this is what you're all here for. Like, how do I now go about what's coming up? So this week, I actually had planned to do a 4x20 minute sweet spot session, which is a big sweet spot session. I also then had planned to do a 2x15 minute FTP session. Now the 2x15 minute FTP session is not going to be too hard. Obviously FTP is hard, but it's not going to be as hard as that sweet spot session. So which one's more important? I would say the sweet spot session, given where I am now, okay, in my like base period. So you'd kind of call that workout like a breakthrough workout, or it's not necessarily, but in terms of the other workouts in the week, which is the one that stands out the most. And that's the one to me that stands out the most. So what I'm going to do is, if all else fails, that is going to be what I'm going to try and aim for this week. So even if I have the whole rest of the week off, or if I get back on the bike tomorrow and I'm just tapping away for an hour, 100 watts, no issues, then the sweet spot session is going to be the one I push as far back in the week as possible. And that's going to be the one that I'm going to try and aim to complete. That's going to be my breakthrough workout for the week. The FTP one, I'm going to sack it off. This only applies usually if you've had a short amount of time off. So like for me now, I've had like I think it's 2 days off. One of them was already a rest day anyway, but we'll call it 3 days. So if for argument's sake I'm back on the bike tomorrow, which is 4 days, that is about the limit. Like anything more than that, I would say, then you have to start looking at like how that's going to affect, like you're almost missing a whole week or at least half a week with 4 days off. So that goes into like different territory. The anything less than that, and you can kind of just change the week around and make it work. If you start having longer than like 4 or 5 days off, you have almost missed like a whole like quarter of a month. So when that happens, you've got to think about where you are in your training. Like if you're like really far out from your goal and you're in like your base phase, for example, you could chop off a week of your coming base phases. Say if you've got one more base phase or one more base month left to do, instead of making that, you know, 3 weeks of work and 1 week of rest, make it 2 weeks of work and 1 week of rest. Or if you're closer to your goal, you can actually chop off, instead of having 2 peak weeks, you can have 1 peak week. Or if you have build periods coming up, you can cut those down from 3 weeks on, 1 week off to 2 weeks on, 1 week off. The downside of this is though that of course you'll never be as fit as you would be if you weren't ill. Unfortunately, that's just life. And so if you can help it, you try to never have longer than 3 or 4 days off without being ill. However, your body always comes first. Stress is stress. Your body is under stress. Try not to stress it more by giving it a big workload to do on the bike, or any sport for that matter. I try to keep things relevant. I try to keep things like, I try to produce content that's obviously part of my life. So if something like this happens, I don't just want to like shy away from it and go like, oh, I've been ill and I've missed days of training and I don't want to share that, like I'm invincible. Because, well, it does actually make us better. You've got to have faith in the fact that like your body goes through illness for a reason. And you also have to like give your body a pat on the back as well for like, say, you know, give it credit for like bouncing back as fast as it can do. Like us, hopefully, like people like us who like ride our bikes regularly, we exercise, you know, we eat relatively well. Hopefully we're like in the top place of the population to like recover and bounce back from these things. So thanks very much for watching, everyone. I hope you're enjoying the festive period. I'm doing well now, so thank you for your messages, and I'll see you in the next one.